Shocking statistics are coming from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention tonight. People who die of a drug overdose in America are now more likely to have fentanyl in their system than any other drug. As our Rudy Trevino reports, those numbers are in line with what's happening right here in Corpus Christi.
Fentanyl, I can tell you that fentanyl is 40 to 50 times stronger than heroin.
Fentanyl is, in a lot of cases, actually being mixed with other drugs. It's being mixed with heroin.
It's incredibly dangerous because people aren't aware of the potency of fentanyl.
These are the experts in our community who see the dangers of fentanyl every day.
Fentanyl is it's a synthetic opioid that's been designed for surgery, for really intractable pain.
The powerful synthetic opioid was found to be involved in nearly a third of all drug overdose deaths in the country in 2016. That's according to a report published Wednesday by the CDC's National Center for Health Statistics. And while local numbers aren't available when it comes to overdoses caused by fentanyl, what is tracked is medicine used to counteract its effects.
Police officers are walking around with their own personal Narcan just in case they get exposed to heroin. They got a way to treat themselves, or their partner can treat them.
This is Narcan, and according to Corpus Christi EMS statistics, Narcan has been used 534 times so far this year to counteract the effects of people overdosing. Here's the age breakdown. EMS say while the numbers are higher among people over the age of 51, what is scarier are the overdoses under the age of 50.
Just like any other drug, kids start experimenting with it, not really knowing what they're experimenting with and the effects that it can have on their bodies and how fast it can kill them.
It can stop your breathing very quickly. If you're drinking and you take fentanyl, it's most assuredly going to give you an overdose.
Experts warn addicts to be cautious of their use and where it's coming from. But they're warning parents to tell their children about the dangers of the use of illicit drugs. Rudy Trevino, 3 News.